Hey, Mike Raine here with Canadian Musician. I'm sitting here with Jason Blaine at the CMAOs, or the first annual award show held by the Country Music Association of Ontario. How you doing today, Jason?
Doing great, man. Nice to see you.
Good, nice to see you too, man. And so I guess to get into it, I'll start with your latest single, I should say, Rocket Country Girl.
Yeah.
It's on your forthcoming album called Everything I Love, and I believe you co-wrote the song with two well-known other songwriters. I believe it was Derek Rutan and Jim Beavers, I believe it was.
Absolutely. You got it right. Yeah. And Derek will be here tonight. He's a buddy of mine. We live about 5 minutes apart, actually, in Tennessee, in Goodlettsville, and run into each other at the Kroger now and then and talk about songwriting. No. But we do write a bunch, and we wrote Rocket Country Girl together, the first single off this new album, and thanks for doing your homework. You know all my stuff. So
You're very welcome. Part of the job here.
yeah, no, I'm excited about it, and so far so good at radio. So fingers crossed.
And I kind of want to talk a bit about the process of songwriting and how co-writing kind of compares to writing on your own, because you've done a lot of both, really. And I guess, is there something about co-writing, particularly with people you know well, that differs, gives you something musically or lyrically that you don't get on your own? I guess, how do the two compare?
Well, definitely. What I typically do is I'll continuously gather up ideas. Used to be on, I used to carry around a notebook. Now I've got my phone, and I'll just have a long list of ideas and then just also with the voice memo too, just sing melodies and stuff, or grooves even, into the phone, and then I just bring that into the co-write. And you kind of, when you have a little stable of writers that you write with often, you get to the point where you're like, this would be a great idea for so and so, or this one would be a great idea for somebody else. And so that's what I'll do, and I'll share my ideas and throw it out there and see what's working in the morning. Make sure we have enough coffee to get us going, and make sure that we can bring it. And I liken songwriting to fishing a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes, you're both sitting there in the boat in your room, and you're just kind of throwing out ideas and casting them out there, and seeing what sticks. And every now and then you're like, oh, that's a really good one. You try to bring it in before the idea kind of floats away. And every now and then you get one in the boat, and it's a great feeling.
That's a great analogy. Do you, when you're starting off song off, is there a process that you usually follow? Do you usually start with a melody or lyrics on a page, or is it kind of all over the place?
Yeah, for me, I write a lot of melody driven. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I tend to, like I said, just sing a bunch of, melody lines or grooves or something into my phone, and then I'll. But I also do keep a list of ideas too, just topical ideas or themes or whatever, and kind of not worry at the time if I just get a great melody or something I think is pretty cool, then I'll just put it in anyway, and then. That's when you get together with your co-writers or whatever, just through the conversation, something will pop out, and you can go back to your notes and go, well, I had a good idea for this, and I think that's the thing, is just kind of being in country music, you kind of observing life, and you just, we write about life a lot, and whether it's, it's just a full range of emotions, it's not always about a good time, but a lot of the times, we try to write those songs too, so it's fun for the fans that come to the shows. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, there's all kinds of topics that you can write about, just life in general. So that's what we try to do, is just to find something that that you care about, and that you think that if you're thinking about it, you'll think other people are thinking about it too.
Yeah. Lyrically, do you find that do you notice a consistent difference between what you produce when you're writing by yourself as opposed to when you're writing with people? Do you tend to be more personal when you're writing by yourself, or anything along those lines?
Well, I think that I know what artists bring to the table, especially in Tennessee. Like, I grew up in Ontario, and they're very similar in that they're both kind of rural. I mean, Tennessee's a rural hunting and fishing kind of state, and so is Ontario, where I grew up anyways, in the upper Ottawa Valley, but there's different lingo and stuff like that. Like when I write with my American friends who have big thick southern accents, and they have all kinds of different phrases and catchphrases, and I wrote this song on this record with a guy named Jason Matthews, and I think he's from Georgia. The song is called Home Sweet Home. And just the way he phrased stuff, you know, the line of the song was, where I'm from, there's 3 stoplights, a courthouse clock from another time, and train tracks rusting, cutting right across Main Street. And just the way he sang that, I could never kind of sing it so southern. They'd never let me pass for that, for everybody that knows I'm from Canada.
Yes.
But I just love the way that those lines fell out. I would have never thought of that. The way that he phrased stuff. He said, you know, wheat fields got the town surrounded. And I've never heard it phrased that way. Wheat fields got the town surrounded. It's a cool picture. It's a cool image. So that's one that made the record, and I love when that happens. I love when you're looking for something and somebody, you know, just all based on your experiences, right? Where you're from, where you grew up, what your life experiences are. And when you put that all into a room together and kind of mix it all up, and out comes a song, and there's a combination of both, you know, my personal experiences and then somebody else's personal experiences.
Now, a lot of Canadian, or it seems like a lot of Canadian country artists go down to Nashville. It seems obvious it's the hub of country music. Do you think that's something kind of a prerequisite for any Canadian country singer that wants to have a successful, a long country music career or a successful country music career outside of Canada?
That's a really good question. I think perhaps that used to be the case, but you know, certainly for me, it was just something that I knew I always wanted to do because it's the hub of country music. That's where the Grand Ole Opry is. That's where everything first began. You know, all the original studios, the old RCA Victor studio where Dolly Parton recorded and Loretta Lynn and Chet Atkins, all the greats recorded there. Waylon Jennings, everybody. So I always wanted to go to Nashville, and there's such a huge community of songwriters. I would definitely encourage anybody looking to get into the industry, you know, to definitely make frequent trips and co-write with people and stuff. But there's also pockets of Canada too, where you can meet people that either have lived in Nashville for a little while and have moved back, or just have always been here. There's a bunch of really cool studios and stuff. A great way to to learn, you know, how to access some of those, you know, people, you know, studios or writers, is to come to events like this. Come to the CMAO and come to events and meet people and network and then, you know, maybe go to the CCMAs and Country Music Week. You know, this year it's in Edmonton, and you can meet people that way. And yeah, that's a long-winded answer for that question, but it's certainly, it wouldn't hurt to go to Nashville, but there's a lot of great folks here in Canada too.
Lastly, Everything I Love will be, was it your 4th or 5th album?
It's my 5th studio album. It's my 4th with the same record label, eOne Music Canada, and it will be in stores July 16th.
Perfect. And well, that's, I think, 5 albums you said it was. That's kind of a lot of output in a fairly short period of time for you. Is there, in closing, is there one main thing really about making music, or maybe the music industry, that you know now that maybe you wished you knew when you started?
That would probably be too long of an answer. Given my long-winded answers earlier, you can get me started and I'll just keep going. See, I've already started with the... No, I mean, I've just always wanted to make records, and I still call them records because they're recordings. I still just will, in whatever capacity, you know, every couple of years, I'll have a collection of songs that I've written, and I'll want to record them, and hopefully there's still some folks that will like to hear what I'm up to and hear what I'm doing and come and see our show and sing along. And you know, I always got something to say, you know, whether it's just through the song, telling my kids I love them, or my wife, or, you know, another song to crank up and party to for me and my friends, you know, and the fans out there. So I can see the progression, though, you know, in a very humbling way, you know, to start out at the first record so green and so young to the 5th record, from my guitar playing to my vocals, my songwriting, everything. It's actually really cool. That's why I like to keep doing it and hopefully many records, God willing, many records from now, there'll still be a progression.
I hope so too. I hope you keep going for a long time. Thanks a lot for this today, man. It's a real pleasure.
Thanks. Cheers.